Hi everyone, this is Gina from Fibers and Design. In this tutorial, you will learn color gradation with Raya knots. This is part of a three-part series where you learn how to use color gradation with plain weave, sumuk weave, and Raya knots. Let's get started. To start off this process, I'm going to go ahead and weave a base here. The base for the Raya knots don't have to be too big. You could make it from an inch, half an inch, or whatever you'd like to be the base. And for here, it's just a sample for me, so I'm just gonna have a few rows. And I've already prepared the yarn that I will need for this project. I've already pre-cut them, and I think this will help your project go a lot faster by pre-cutting them. These yarns are cut already at 4 inches, or at 4.5 inches. So that the full length of them, because they're going to be folded in half, right? So the full length of these are going to be about 2 inches long once they're on here. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using, the colors are going to be going from this dark blue to this light ice blue. And I'm going to use this transition color. I'm not going to use too much of this color, so I don't have too many strands of it, and I have more of these blue, the dark blue and the ice blue instead. Now for this, what we're going to do is we're going to first create a base with just these blue Raya knots. And I'm going to make this a shorter sample than the previous one. So it's just about 5 inches long, this original sample that I created. But I'm going to try to make it a little bit shorter and smaller. And as I did in this sample, it's gone from a dark blue to this kind of gray blue, and then to the ice blue. So I'm going to show you how I did this, how I made this transition. And with this sample, I'm not too pleased exactly with it, because I think it could have could transition a little bit more, a little bit better. And yeah, we'll see here how we can improve this a bit more. So first I'm going to start off with just using the dark blue. And so I'm going to just create these with 2 strands on each row. Now here I believe I have an odd number, so I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. I could pretend like this yarn isn't here, which is possible. But I think I'm just going to do a side for this one here. I'm just going to do a side Raya knot as so. So I'm going to start with this one because I know it's already the odd one out. So I'm going to just take it here. So I have my loop, and I'm going to turn it on the side. I'm going to put it through here, and then I'm just going to pull the 2 ends through it. Okay, so that's how I'm going to address the one when it's on its own here on the side. And it's okay if it's yeah, a little bit out of the loop, if you will. But yeah, that's how we'll just do this one. So you don't have to have an odd number to do this tutorial, but you this is how you can address it if you are like me and you have an odd one out like this. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and just start adding. I'm going to go by 2s. And I'm going to add 2 strands of the blue yarn, the dark blue, or my color 1. And I'll probably just refer to it as color 1, and just bring them down. And I'm just going to go ahead and start filling this up. So I'm going to do 2 rows of this. I'm going to do 2 rows like this. And as you can see, it's a lot faster when I already have the pre-cut ends, and when you prep the material, it's a lot faster. And yeah, so you can see here how they all just sit together. Okay, so I've completed the first row here. Now with the Raya knots, when you're making the second row, When making the second row, I'm going to start, and I want to make the rye knot sit here in between each of the rows. So I'm going to take the second and the third, and I'm going to start like this. I'm just looping around and pulling down. I'm going to make another row. I think I'm going to make 4 rows here of this, of just the solid blue rows. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna go ahead and start introducing the second color. So in comparison with the sample here, so in the sample here, I already started introducing the colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 1 strand of blue and then 1 strand of the transition color. Now, I'm really curious if we should even use a transition color and just jump into this and just go 1 to the next color. That could work. Maybe I will try that instead of using the transition color. So maybe just use the 2 colors. So I'm going to take 1 of each. Okay. Now between each of these rows, you could secure them. Maybe we can do that. So I'm going to take 1 strand of the blue and 1 strand of the ice blue, or 1 strand of color 1, and a strand of color 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start adding it to here. No. But what I'm going to do is this. Instead, I'm going to alternate so that there's not too much of this white or of this blue. So I'm going to alternate between using color 1, color 2, in 2 color ones. Do another row of this blue. So for this transition, I would probably I'd want this blue, this white and blue, or sorry, this ice blue, color 1 and color 2 strands to be here between so that they're not all on the same part. So just gonna put another blue here. So now I'm going to knit this next row with the color 1 and color 2 together. So now the color is coming in, but I still want to make sure that it transitions well. So I'm going to do another row of blue. So as you can see, the color is slowly building up here. It's a little bit gradual. Now, from here, I would just say continue doing this with a mix of 1s and 2s. So I would just mix between them. just to break up the color. So I think when you're ready to add in the next color, or sorry, move completely into the next color, then we'll use less of the blue. I encourage you to kind of flip around the yarns when you're doing this transition with the raya knots, and you can start to see how the colors are interacting with each other. The big thing with these two colors is that we're going from a very dark to a very light color. So it's important to take your time in transitioning from one to the other. Maybe I'll go ahead and start adding again. 1 and 2. There's no real science to it. It's just you can see as the color is building and you can decide. So these are just some techniques. So I think going between color 1 and color 2 full rows, every other row. These are all different techniques that you can use to help build the color. As you can see, that looks nice. I think you could probably still use a few more rows of the double in the colors with the color 1 and color 2 together. But I really like the transition here from this way. That looks really nice. Okay, but maybe we'll go ahead and start adding some white here. So we can see kind of like a more heavier with this blue, or the light blue. So I just want to keep adding and taking away color 1 and color 2. But this is basically the main principle of doing the color gradation. And it's really up to you how you use it to change the color, from transition from one color to the next one. So, yeah. So now we can see hints of this blue, so it's not too strong. So to kind of help and make it softer, I'm gonna kind of like what I did here. We had rows of color 1 and color 2 together, alternating between the two. I'm going to do the same thing, but adding now rows of color 2. Now I'm going to do alternating rows. So let's do color 1 or color 2. And then color 1, color 2. As I mentioned here in the tutorial, the next few rows, it's going to be really just working on building the transition between color 1 and color 2. And a way that I've done that here is I'm alternating between strands of color 1 and color 2, and then going to the next set and creating rye knots with color 2 only. And then after that, I'm going to just be creating other rows of color 1 and color 2 together, just to keep blending the colors. As you can see in the video, I keep flipping up the knots from below, just to get another perspective on how the color is moving between color 1 and color 2. Sometimes as you're working on it, you might think, okay, you need more color 1, and in that case, you could put more strands of color 1 in it, or if you say, oh, there's not enough color 2, and then you can start adding more color 2. But remember, it's similar to the other color gradation techniques, is that if you add one, you have to take away one. Okay, but here we are still going between the two colors, so you just want to make sure there's an even balance, and just keep checking. You might realize, oh, okay, it's enough of the addition to this other color, and it will work for you. So you just have to. This is really a trial and error kind of thing. Yeah, you just have to keep practicing and just like this checking to see if it's the right illusion or appearance that you want. So now I'm just going to keep adding more combinations of these two. For this, every other one, alternate solids. And I'm okay from here. Just start adding the ice blue. And maybe one last alternation. Between these two. And then I'm just gonna add white. And then the last one here. And now I'm going to do rows of white. I'm sorry, I keep calling it white, but it's just this ice blue. Now, I haven't done any rows of the plain weave. I've just been like entranced with this. So now I think the rye knots are gonna be okay because they're locked on top of each other, but should be adding a few rows. Here I could add another alternating row like this to kind of get the colors going. You can see here the colors move. Now I think like once you've cut out, I like to go in with scissors and cut them. But I can, yeah, like using some scissors, you can cut, you can shape it to how you like, and the shape and the color, so you can kind of show the color a little bit more, so you can show the color a little bit more. So here I can see with this shorter one, and turn it this way, kind of gradually goes in. And again, I think you can kind of play with this. What I like so much about raya knots is that they're really forgiving, and you can build, add, and especially with color gradation here, as you can see here, as I'm moving the yarns around, they change a bit, and the colors are changing and developing, and that's what I just really like about this. And I'm going to take some scissors in just a moment and kind of change the appearance more. Another way of changing the appearance is just by changing the directions of the raya knots. Now, what I really liked about this was in order to check that it's like a real gradual transition between the colors, throughout the project, I spent time moving the yarns up and down in different directions so that I could see if there was really a balance between the colors and the yarns. So I think that really helped me finding a good balance between and finding a good transition between the colors. So with the color gradation that I did for the Ryonots, I'm just using this comb to kind of get them in place. And you can really see the gradation that happens, but it's still not so apparent, especially when I do it this way. But what I think is when I cut down the yarns, this is what I was planning on at first, I like how it goes from dark to light here. I think it's maybe a little bit more interesting. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take some scissors and go at it and maybe give it kind of like a haircut because it's kind of like in a ball form, and I like the ball form, but I think like with some scissors you can kind of play up the shape of it. So I recommend that when cutting this, going on an angle instead of just going in and just snap, snap, snap. You can, but I think like I still want to have length to this, so I'm just kind of going in a little bit at a time, but also just kind of going for it and just see what happens. I love Ryonots because they are so diverse in what you can do with it. And so you can see here as I'm cutting it, you can see a little bit more of the yarns, the color transition here. Now I'm not trying to give it a full haircut. I think this could be kind of fun, having these longer strands come out. Not exactly what I'm going for with this, but I think it could be kind of interesting. But I do like playing with the length here. So I actually think the top here is going to be a little bit shorter, and the ice blue is going to be a bit longer. So this shape kind of reminds me of fireworks. Yeah, so there's a really big difference once those yarns have been cut a bit. I actually even like it kind of like this a little bit. I still want it to be transition well from one color to the other. I think that looks pretty nice. Get that nice color and shape going. Yeah, I really like it. It's like a little firework bursting in the sky. And now you can see those colors coming out. I think this could be really cool if you use lots of different colors at once. Here we have but the big thing here is that we have such a dark color, such a dark blue here and such a light blue. It's almost like a white ice blue. So it's quite a transition from both sides, but I think it's nice to have this gradation here between the two. And the thing is, you can always build with the colors in between, and you can be as gradual as you want, or change the colors as fast as you want. Oh, I found a pocket here of this ice blue. And the thing with the yarn is that you can really manipulate it how you want. Now, For example, if you really wanted to add more color in here, you could technically go in here and just start adding strands of the color. And yeah, it could work. You could just go in and create some loops, kind of like a latch hook. But yeah, I think that's just if you really don't like your final product and need a bit more transitional colors. But I think for the most part, I'm quite happy with this piece here.
I hope that this tutorial was helpful for you and you can use these techniques in your next project. Please be sure to check out the rest of the series with plain weave and sew-mook. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, then please leave a thumbs up and please subscribe for even more content on weaving. See you next time. Bye.